Hello, my name is Joshua Gilliland, and welcome to another installment of the Legal Geeks educational series. I am the blogger for Bowtie Law and one of the two bloggers for the Legal Geeks. Today, we will be discussing character evidence, a complicated area in the rules of evidence, and let's explore the different subject areas and the rule as it is defined. Character evidence is defined under Federal Rule of Evidence, Rule 404A1. The rule states that evidence of a person's character or character trait is not admissible to prove that on a particular occasion the person acted in accordance with the character or trait. Moving on, there are exceptions for this. Now again, it's a very powerful rule because we don't want prior bad acts coming in, things that can sway a jury or a finder of fact with things that can be prejudicial and sidetrack things. So there are other rules that can come into play as well if character evidence is trying to be brought in. Now there are exceptions. A defendant in a criminal case may offer evidence of the defendant's character trait, but if they do so, if they make character an issue, a prosecutor may offer evidence to rebut it. So if they open the door, they could have an ugly character fight showing that the defendant is actually not an angel, and it's a very dangerous game to play if that door is opened. Now there are exceptions if there's a victim and we have the defendant who starts making allegations of the alleged victim's character. If that happens, if a defendant takes the position that, Your Honor, the victim in here was not a good egg, the prosecutor may rebut it and say, yes, the victim was a good egg, or offer evidence that the defendant is not a good egg and show, a bad character of the defendant in the case. So again, another very, when you start playing with character evidence, you can really play a game of roulette and opening the door and really having the wagon go off the wheels if you're not careful with this, because the code can get tricky. This ties heavily to another code section, and that's impeachment and truthfulness of a witness. And this smacks heavily of character evidence if you're not careful. So under Federal Rule of Evidence, Rule 607, we look at who may impeach a witness. And under the rule, any party, including the party that called a witness, may attack the witness's credibility. Okay, because that makes sense. We're trying to get to the truth of the matter, and being able to look at a witness's truthfulness is important. Under Federal Rule of Evidence, Rule 608, a witness's character for truthfulness or untruthfulness can come in. And you can stop and pause, and like this could turn into character evidence very, very quickly. And the way around it is if it's a discussion of reputation or opinion by someone. So a witness's credibility may be attacked or supported by testimony about the witness's reputation for having a character for truthfulness or untruthfulness. That could be huge because it could very quickly turn into a character evidence case if you're not careful. So it really has to be, in my opinion, it's, the reputation in the community. But there's a catch with this, that evidence of a truthful character is admissible only after the witness's character for truthfulness has been attacked. So you can't go out and just start, bolstering a witness's credibility by saying how honest they are and their character for truthfulness in the community. You just can't do that right out of the gate. There has to be an attack on the truthfulness of that witness. Now you can have specific instances of conduct as well, and where that could come in. And there are exceptions under the Federal Rule of Evidence, Rule 609, for criminal convictions, but extrinsic evidence is not admissible to prove specific instances of a witness's conduct in order to attack or support the witness's character for truthfulness. However, on cross-examination, a court might allow such questions to be inquired into if they are probative of the character for truthfulness or untruthfulness of the witness or another witness whose character the witness being cross-examined has testified about. So again, these rules do interplay with each other. And it's very, easy if something would not be admissible under character evidence, you could make a Rule 608 argument that it could come in for that way. Conversely, if you try making a 608 argument, you could end up with a 404 counter argument that's character evidence and should not be admissible. So again, there's lots of case law on this, and it's the stuff that evidence exams are written about, and it can get highly complicated and code specific very quickly. But let's look at an example of, character evidence today. And one of the biggest areas for character evidence coming in today is with social media, because people like playing gotcha games with witnesses and parties. And this case, it's dicta, but it's a wonderful statement that the court referenced from another case, and that photographs from social networking sites cannot be admitted to prove bad character. Frequently, and this is true in the discovery world, when we started realizing the treasure trove of information on social media, people just wanted to harvest it and like try slamming it into lawsuits. And that it has to be relevant, it has to be on admissible. There are all these requirements it has to be, but you can't do a character evidence attack by itself, just trying to get photos from a social networking site to prove bad character. There's also great relevance arguments that could be made with this as well. So they have to be actually relevant to the lawsuit. But fundamentally, a picture of, from a social networking site with a person doing whatever, and people do events and take pictures, and they end up on social networking sites that can cause problems for them later. But that cannot be used in court to prove a person's bad character. So there's a lot on the subject. I've tried blogging about it on Bowtie Law, and will continue to into the future, because there are huge evidence issues with character evidence. I hope you found this informative. And again, this is a wonderful point to start looking at different issues with character evidence. Thank you all for your time, and have a wonderful day.